Well, good day to everyone, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today here at Manage Engine. I see the attendee list is rather long, so this is obviously a very important topic to many of us, whether you're an administrator in security, whether you are an auditor, or even an executive. It's important to understand how reporting can really change the complexity of security and compliance. So we here at Manage Engine just want to thank you for your time and your ability to spend a little bit of time with us here today. To cover some logistics before we jump into the material, this is being recorded, and we will be sending you a link to the recording in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. If we go through something a little too quick, or if you want to share it with someone else, or even just want to review this at a later date, you'll be able to do that. We do have some people in the background that you can't hear, but certainly they will be fielding your questions. So if you do have any questions, please use your GoToWebinar area, and you should be able to write questions, and they will be answering those questions as we go through the material. So that way we can expedite your time and our time as well. A little bit more information on me. My name is Derek Melber, and I am the technical evangelist for the Active Directory Solutions team here at Manage Engine. And what that means is I get the opportunity to go all around the world helping organizations and administrators better understand Active Directory, security, group policy, and really just become more efficient and secure with everything they do in a day in and day out basis. As a 16-time MVP over the last 16, 17 years, I definitely have had an opportunity to have some very unique situations, and I think it's an opportunity for you as well, because that can be used as a resource. So that's my email address. If you do have any questions about this event or anything else that you're struggling with at work, or any questions that you have all around Active Directory and group policy, please send me any emails, and I will try to get to those. Actually, all of us on the AD Solutions team really look forward to receiving emails from many of you, so that we can learn ourselves as well as try to help as much as we can. We don't have a ton of time together today, so I also want to leave you with some additional resources. Both of these resources that I'm going to point you to are available from our main landing page. So if you come to manageengine.com and you go and hover over support, you'll see blogs. This is a blog area which you can do searches, and you can look for particular things related to Active Directory, security, whatever it is. And we blog weekly, and really the goal of this blog is just for us to communicate with you in less than 5 minutes of your time every week. So what we do is we really try to get you information in a very expedited way with regard to, whether it be efficiency of creating users, managing users, deprovisioning users, whether it be on the security side, the auditing side, recovery, whatever it is, we try to get you some critical information. So this is a really good site for you to take advantage of. The other resource that I want to point you to is also available from our main landing page. And if you hover over products and go to the lower left-hand corner, you'll see security hardening for Active Directory. This site was built about 2 years ago, and I can guarantee you that you will never find all of this information in one site on the internet other than this site right here. Microsoft has a couple of new technologies, or newer technologies, JIT and GIA, and these technologies I normally talk about in my live seminars, and I find that less than 1% of all administrators have even heard of these technologies. And there's a good reason for that. The technologies really have a lot of weaknesses in terms of implementation. So because of those weaknesses, what we here at Manage Engine did is we developed for you this website which covers all of the security areas on your domain controllers, your Windows servers, and inside of Active Directory that you need to harden. And we give you step-by-step guidelines on how to do that through blogs. And this is just an amazing site. And really what we're going to do is we're going to focus today on a lot of these security areas, because that's where we need to focus on security and compliance. So please take advantage of these resources whenever possible. They are excellent resources, free resources. If you have any questions about them, please email us and we'll be more than happy to guide you with that. Finally, I want to point you to our 2017 World Tour. We have done this now. This is our third year, and we're halfway through our third year. We just started our kind of second half of the year tour. I just got back from Santiago, Chile, and Buenos Aires, Argentina, and next week we'll actually be in New York City for our user conference. So I want to make sure that those of you that actually do live in the United States are aware of a couple of things that are going on up and coming. Next week we'll be in New York for our user conference. In early October we will be in Los Angeles, and then in Chicago for our Active Directory seminars. So if you are near any one of those places, I would strongly encourage you to sign up and attend those. These are fantastic events that you can really get information from us in a very direct way. So please come to one of these events. Also, we will be touring the rest of the world. So if you're in the rest of the world, we'll be going to Sweden, to Poland, to Israel, Italy, Denmark, and even more places. So go to our events page and you can see where we're going to be going. And then, of course, we will be having a 2018 World Tour as well. So I hope to see you there. One last thing about events is we will be at Microsoft Ignite. So please come to our booth. We'd love to shake your hand, have a little chat with you, bring us your problems, and hopefully we can solve some different things for you with regard to Active Directory at Microsoft Ignite. Okay, enough of that. Let's jump into the material. This is by far one of my favorite topics because of the complexity of the topic. When we start talking about compliance and security, we really have two prongs of that conversation. We have the administrator piece, which is really related to security, and we have the auditor piece, which is related to compliance. Because if it weren't for compliance, we probably wouldn't have auditors. But then again, we need security, and compliance really tries to drive that home. So what we need to do is we need to understand the rules of engagement of the complexity of this topic, and then we need to understand the limitations. If we can understand the complexity and overcome the limitations, I really believe that we can audit better. We can produce better reports. And in the end, not only are we meeting compliance regulations, we also have better security. So when it comes to compliance regulations, we have many things that we need to worry about. We have PCI for credit cards. We have Sarbanes-Oxley. If you are in Europe, or you will be working with companies in Europe, you have to worry about GDPR. You have HIPAA for healthcare. You have a whole list of compliance regulations. Each compliance regulation focuses on a different aspect of the organization. For example, I've been really focusing on GDPR lately. GDPR only focuses on personal information about your customers or people that you gather information about, and the security of that information. And the fines are actually quite steep. In US dollars, it's over $20 million for fines if you are breached and you didn't take precautions against being breached. So many of these regulations have dollar amounts to them as well, which is why we need to make sure that we're meeting these. Now, when it comes to the auditor, again, the internal or the external auditor, each auditor can interpret the documentation differently. So I can read one sentence, you can read a different sentence, and we each have a different take on what that sentence means. I think this is kind of a detriment to the whole compliance area, but it's something that we have to deal with. So what I try to do is, instead of worrying about the compliance aspect, I try to worry about security. Because if we worry about security as a whole, security tied to compliance regulations, we are going to be compliant. So for example, let's talk about group membership. Well, part of the guidelines for many of these compliance regulations is that privileged groups need to be controlled. Well, if we are controlling privileged groups constantly, then we really don't have to worry about the concept of making sure that we're meeting compliance because our groups are secure. So if we make sure that security is in place, then compliance is going to be met. And that's really what I want to focus on today. Now, I'll be jumping back and forth between the concept of compliance and auditing along with security. But the idea is if we can blanket security, we can meet compliance requirements. So compliance starts with reporting, okay? Now, what I mean by this is you need a report in order to show that you're compliant. But wrong reports show you unknown configurations. Let me give you an example. I'm going to jump here into my Active Directory environment. And let's talk about group policy, and let's talk about the password policy. So I'm going to come in here to my group policy management console, and I'm going to come up here to the default domain policy. And I'm going to go to settings, and right here under security settings, you'll see the password policy. Now, this is the password policy that Microsoft gives us out of the box, right? So when you install Active Directory for the very first time, you are going to get these configurations automatically in your environment. Because of that, many auditors and also many administrators want this report to prove that they are compliant. Now, what I'm trying to drive home is if you get the wrong report, you're getting the wrong information. If you have the wrong information, you may be compliant, but you may not be secure, correct? So for example, if I generate this report for my auditor and every setting in here meets the compliance regulation, we're good to go. But what if I tell you that this report is worthless? This report is worthless. All of you that are on this webinar, if you're generating this report right here from the default domain policy, this information for your compliance or security needs, I'm asking you, I'm begging you to stop. This report is worthless, okay? Let me prove that. I'm going to go run the correct report to show the password policy, right? secpol.msc, secpol.msc. And if I show you the actual password policy, you will see that it is radically different than the report. So if you generate the wrong report, you might meet compliance regulations, but you're not secure. So my point, again, is let's be secure. And if you're secure, then you meet compliance regulations. It's really kind of a neat concept, right? So if we have unknown configurations, we have unknown security. Let me ask you another question. Right now, I don't want you to go look, okay? I don't want you to go look. Right now, how many of you on this webinar are 100% confident that you know the members of the domain admins group in your domain? Now, you may be thinking, of course I know. But wait 1 second. You've been on this webinar now for 10 minutes. Who's to say that your colleague down the hallway didn't just add someone into domain admins and you're not made aware of that? So unless you're getting real-time information, you have unknown configurations and unknown security. You really don't know. Security is the key. Getting the correct information is critical. Knowing the information is maintained is critical. And it all starts with the report, okay? Analyzing incorrect reports, right? If I go through and I give you this report right here and you analyze this, you're analyzing the wrong information. That does not meet good security. It just means that you analyze information. So everything starts with the report. Now, if we start tying things together here, I showed you that security hardening site. If you go to the security hardening site and go to those areas, we show you through blogs how to run reports for all those settings. Pretty important to know how to do that. I think it's pretty obvious now since we've looked at a couple of examples. So you must have the right tools to generate the reports. They have to be easy. You must be able to automate them. And it would be nice if you could delegate them. So when we start looking at tools, and part of my job, not only for Manage Engine, but as an MVP for Microsoft, is to make sure that I provide solutions that is going to be ideal for you, the administrator. And I worry about ease, automation, and delegation. I worry about cost and overhead and the management concepts. That's my job. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through some very common reports. I want to walk you through some very complex, hard to generate reports and show you with the right tool can actually be pretty easy. Now, that might just be from a security standpoint, but we also need to worry about this not only from a security standpoint, but also compliance regulations. And I have different views on the whole idea of compliance, right? Continued compliance requires monitoring. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's walk through 5 steps of what I consider to be good compliance, meeting compliance requirements and security. Let's say it's the time of the audit. The Active Directory audit is occurring. We start the project, and we need to go get reports. So the auditor walks into the administrator and says, I need to get these 20 reports, and gives you a list, the administrator. Great. You generate the reports, and you give them back to the auditor. The auditor analyzes those reports, makes a write-up, and potentially has some configuration suggestions. Then you stop, okay? Now, as the administrator, you stop because you really didn't want to do the audit to begin with. The auditor stops because they have to go do an audit on the Unix system. But does the concept of change stop? No, it does not. So if you generate a report, right? So I'm going to go over here back to Active Directory. Let's do this live. I'm going to come back here to Active Directory. I'm going to go to Active Directory users and computers. I'm going to go over here to domain admins, and I'm going to get the members of domain admins. Screen capture, done. Now, this is at whatever time it is, right? It's 11:20 my time. I take a screen capture of this. It is September 7th. Screen capture done. How good is that report valid for? I'm thinking the report is valid for about 3 seconds because someone else could change the membership in this group. So as soon as I take that screen capture, the report nearly is invalid. And unless we monitor the changes to this group, we have zero idea what the current configuration is. So yes, reporting, analysis, and configuration are important. But I want to stress monitoring and alerting. Monitoring. I must monitor. I must monitor to know my configurations. Reporting and configuration without monitoring equals unknown configurations, because the change can occur seconds after the configuration is made. Now you may sit in there thinking, no one would do that. I trust my administrators. It has nothing to do with trust. This isn't a trust issue. This is a knowledge issue. You must know that your security is maintained in order for you to maintain security. Because it doesn't take long for someone that's in the domain admins group to do destruction, to get information maybe they shouldn't have. And if you aren't aware that they're even there, you don't know that this is occurring. So monitoring and alerting after configuration equals continuous compliance and real-time monitoring for administrators. Now, notice the green here, monitoring and alerting after configuration. So configuration is important. I'm not throwing that out, because if you just monitor and alert where you are right now, you don't know where you started. And if you configure what you really don't know that you have, you didn't analyze. So you need all 5 steps, but you can't have the first 3, and you can't just have the last 2. You have to have all 5. And when you have all 5, real-time monitoring is going to indicate changes, and continuous compliance is going to reduce your reporting analysis at the time of the audit. I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about security. I'm all about awareness of your environment. So when it comes down to the Active Directory compliance, when it comes down to Windows compliance, when it comes down to it, you have to have more than just a report. Now, what if I can make this super easy for you? And when I say super easy, I mean super easy. And I can do this in a couple of ways. Let's walk through some different concepts, okay? Let's walk through the idea of privileged groups, okay? Now, let's talk about just domain admins. I just want to talk about the domain admins groups. That's all I'm going to talk about at this point. Domain admins is usually on every compliance regulation. You have to generate a report for the domain admins group. So the auditor comes in, they ask for the members of the domain admins group. You go to the domain admins group, you go to members, and you can take a screen capture. Now, at first glance, this seems pretty easy. Couple of things that could go wrong. One, what if the list of domain admins is beyond this screen? Can I resize this screen? Nope. So that means immediately a couple of screenshots. Well, that's kind of a pain. Also, what do I have inside of domain admins? I have users. I have a group. So that means that I have to go into this group, go to its members, and get a list of its members. If I have groups nested within groups, I have to continue to do that until I'm done. Do you have an option inside of Active Directory users and computers to get a list of group members recursively? What I mean is through nested groups. The answer is no. Nowhere in here, nowhere in any action or view do you have that option. The only way that you can do that using Microsoft technology is to script it, or you can actually use PowerShell. Now, if I go into normal PowerShell, right? Here's normal PowerShell, and I try to get help on groups, right? Nowhere in here do I have any information about group members. For those of you that aren't familiar with PowerShell, you're going to struggle with this a little bit. I am by no means a PowerShell guru, but I know that I have to go to the Active Directory module for PowerShell in order to get this information. That means you have to download it, install it, and know how to use it. So now if I do get help on AD group, right, I get AD group member. If I do get help, get AD group, oops, sorry about the typing, member, you will see that there is an option here for recursive. See that right there? Recursive. So what I can do is I can do something like get AD group member, domain admins, recursive. And boom, I get all the users, even the users in the nested groups. Here's yet another problem. How many users can you actually give this report to and they understand what they're looking at? Not very many, huh? So now you get to format this. Okay, so far I couldn't use PowerShell. I had to use some special version of PowerShell. I had to use the right command, and now I have to format it. That doesn't seem efficient to me. Now, let me show you something else. If I go to a tool that's actually designed to do this, a tool that isn't kind of an afterthought for this, this was something that we wanted to do. Group members, I want to get the group member details. I want to get, not administrators, I want to get domain admins, click, okay, users and groups. There's a list of my users. and I can actually export this to a PDF. I'm telling you, if you use the right tool, you can generate reports faster. You can generate reports with more precision. You can generate reports that actually are usable by the users that need to read them. This becomes extremely important when we start talking about efficiency. All of you on this webinar that are administrators have had to deal with auditors asking for the same report over and over again because they didn't ask for it correctly the first time, or the information you provided was too complex. Using a tool that can carve out what they want can be very useful. Okay, so when you start looking at report generation, I first of all want to point you in the direction of efficiency. Now, what is the most efficient way to generate reports? The most efficient way is through automation. So what we do inside of AD Manager Plus is allow you to generate reports through scheduling. So I can create a schedule, okay? Now, notice that I can get detailed group members for the domain admins. I can generate this hourly, weekly, monthly, and then I can place it in a particular location, okay? Once I place it in the particular location, I can also email someone that is available. Now, I want you to think about this. Instead of using this tool, or worse, this tool, which neither one of them really automate an email, you can use this tool, which a couple of clicks, you saw me do it, a couple of clicks, I can create an automated report that will be generated on a routine schedule. And when that report is generated, I can send an email to the people that need to review the report. It could be the admin, it could be the auditor, it could be the CSO, it could be whoever you want it to be. And you can even modify the storage path. Now, the storage path is important because we want to secure that as well. We're putting critical information out on the network. So we want to make sure that the storage path is secured as well. So we need to secure the ACL, but you get to choose that. So when it comes down to the list of things that we need to get for compliance, you need a tool that can get it done for you. Now, all of you that are auditors that are on this webinar have a list of things that you need, right? Let me go through the list of things that you need. So if you go through the list of things that you need, right? Let's go back into the live environment and let's take a look. I'm in AD Manager Plus AD Reports. I just showed you the group report for group members. I just showed you how you can schedule that report, getting detailed group information, right? I just showed you how to do that. That's one. You also want reports on all users. Now, this is a tricky one. Now, I want you to look at this pretty clearly. When you look at your users, you need to get listing of certain attributes for the live environment. We give you the ability to customize those reports, right? Days since the last password change, the password expiration date, right? Account expiration, account status, whether it's enabled or disabled, the name, information about the user, so you can create your own custom reports. Password last set. All of these things are related to the user account. What are you using today for this? Can you automate it? Can you actually generate multiple reports just showing what you want so that you can quickly and efficiently audit that, analyze that information? Step 2, right? You also want reports for passwords. You want to know users that have passwords that never expire, right? And you want to be able to get that into a PDF. You want to be able to schedule that report. You also want reports on, let's see, users that can't change their password. These are typically service accounts. Some of you look at logon failures, and you want to look at recent logon failures. You absolutely need to get information related to security settings. You need to get information related to, let's see, password policy, right? We actually generate the password policy for you correctly. Notice this isn't the one that's incorrect. This is the actual password policy. You can generate this report weekly, okay? Now, at this point, what we are talking about is generating reports in an automated fashion. Now, I'm going to go back in my slide deck here, okay? I'm going to go back a couple of things. If you just get reports without monitoring of changes, what do you end up with? Unknown configurations, okay? So let me show you something. If I go in and I generate a report for my domain admins, we're going to go do this again. Watch this. So domain admins, okay. Come over here. There's my list. There's 5 in the list, and I export this as a PDF, okay? Done. Now, I have that report in a PDF. While I was doing that, someone came into domain admins and they added another user. If I go back to that report, how valid is that report? I have a report, but I didn't monitor. What do I have now? I have unknown configurations. If I were monitoring, I would know in real time that it changed. Do you think I have that in place? Watch this. Now, I really want you to pay attention to this. This is important. While I was generating the report and making that change, AD Audit Plus was tracking changes for me. And right here, it alerted me that there was a change to the domain admins group. I can actually go get a report of modified admin groups. And right there is my report. I can save this as a PDF. Can I generate this report? Of course I can schedule these reports. What I'm telling you is you not only need to look at reports for what's in Active Directory now, you need to look at changes for those settings over time. And if you can do this, you can have continuous auditing and continuous security monitoring in real time, in 100% real time monitoring. So it changes the way that you look at compliance and auditing. It changes the way you look at security. What you want to do now is you want to go look at your settings, right? Configurations of Active Directory, access into Active Directory, the use of Active Directory, administrative accounts, privileged accounts, user accounts, password policy, Active Directory delegation, group policy delegation, you name it, I'm going to track it if it changes. That's pretty cool. Let me show you what I have. I've created all of this inside of my environment. If I go to AD Audit Plus, which tracks changes, and I go to my alerts, you will see that I have alerts for organizational unit ACL changes, group policy permission changes, if the administrator account changes in any way, any admin group changes, user rights, fine-grained password policy. Up here, I have the domain password policy. Everything that's important to me, which is also through compliance regulations, I have an alert for it. For real-time Active Directory, which isn't changing, so I can't really alert, that's AD Manager Plus, and I have all of my reports scheduled weekly, monthly. So now I have reports for what's live in Active Directory automated, and I have reports on what's changing automated, and I have alerts telling me if anything changes. It's pretty awesome. Super simple. Super, super, super simple. Everything I'm showing you here, I didn't create. This is in the tool. There's no customization to this. All you need to do is generate the reports, generate the automations. We actually don't have the automations generated for you because we don't know what you want. We don't know what the scheduled reports is going to be. I've created these, but it's super simple to do that. I showed you how to do that. So what you have is you have now the ability to head on get control of security, get control of your compliance. If you want to take it to the next step, which is allowing your auditors to actually generate their own reports, we have Active Directory delegation. You can go in and you can specify that your auditors have the ability to generate their own Active Directory reports. And here it is. So no longer does the auditor need even to go to the administrator. The auditor has read access to generate the reports themselves. This is AD Manager Plus. Awesome and powerful. So with the right tool set, things can actually be much better. Things can be more secure. Things can be more efficient. So where do you go from here? Well, I know where you go from here. You go back to the Manage Engine website. You go to Products. You go to AD Audit Plus, and you download it. You go to Manage Engine, Products, AD Manager Plus, and you download it. Both of these are 100% fully functional versions of these tools. Fully functional. I'm going to challenge you. Go download it, install it on a VM, configure it, and start receiving reports. I guarantee you can do it in less than 20 minutes. That's how easy these tools are. Please get these tools in place. Stop trying to fight with PowerShell. Stop trying to fight with Microsoft tools, right? This is not a good tool to generate reports. There isn't even an option for report in here. Certainly, this is not a good tool for reporting, right? I mean, if any of you are trying to take advantage of this security log, good luck to you. If some of you are trying to take advantage of PowerShell, right? Get help. You need help. This red is not a friendly environment. What I'm saying is with a couple of clicks, you can start generating reports out of the box. Super simple. They're already here. You also can get reports on changes. They're here out of the box. AD Audit Plus comes with 125 pre-canned reports, anywhere from logons to user group management, OU management, detailed group policy changes, even DNS changes. It's all right here, 100% out of the box configuration. So please go look at the tools. If you have any questions, email me. This is my email address. You have emails for many people inside of Manage Engine and the Active Directory Solutions team. Email them. As I told you earlier, all of us love to receive questions, love to receive emails. I know we didn't have a lot of time together, and if you want a full-blown demo of this, email me. Email the AD Solutions team. We're more than happy to sit down with you for 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we want to walk you through this. For those of you that already have AD Audit and AD Manager and you're wondering how to do these things, go to our blog. We have lots of videos and blogs out there. If you don't want to go to the blog and you just want me to do the work for you, email me. I will send you links to this stuff. Our job, my job, is to make your job easier. That's it. That's my job. And I want to do that. Okay? So I noticed that there have been some questions, but they've been answered. I want to thank my team members for helping me answer those questions. I especially want to thank you for attending. I really think this information is valid and important for you. So I want to thank you for taking the time with us today for this. We do have some more webinars coming up throughout the year, so keep an eye out for those. We do have those events in the United States and around the world, so if you're near those, please attend those as well. I'm done. I'm going to let you get back to your day. And for myself and the rest of the 80 Solutions team, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.